Our topic is site selection and site analysis. So this is the first module of site planning and landscape architecture, AR171-1P. So we will be discussing site planning encompasses different professions or different specialization or different uh, professionals. There are professionals that are into urban planning, there are landscape architecture, there are civil engineers, and there are architects. No? And site planning also involves some of the principles of other professions, like principles in civil engineering, principles in landscape architecture, principles in urban planning, and principles in architecture. So the site planning also have what you call the um, features or the characteristics of concepts or design concepts and design laws and regulations of different professions. Like the site planning is affected by the laws of civil engineering, the laws of and landscape architecture, the principles of urban planning and laws of urban planning. So in our subject, we are discussing uh, planning as an introduction, site planning and landscape architecture. So we will be discussing a little bit of all of these topics that are shown on the screen, no? And we will be discussing first the site planning. So site planning is the art and science of arranging the structures on the land and shaping the spaces between. An art of arranging uses of land linked to architecture, engineering, landscape architecture, and city planning. Site plans locate objects and activities in space and time. These plans may concern a small clusters of house, a single building and its grounds, or something as extensive as a small community built in a single operation. As you can see that the in site planning, most of the time, architects or engineers are given an opportunity to develop a vacant land. No? One profession that is very involved on site planning are geodetic engineers, no, and architects, no. So architects and geodetic engineers work together in creating large areas to be developed. So in the geodetic engineers establish the contour, the natural features or the natural uh, characteristic of the land, and the architects planned it according to principles or standards that are available, that are applicable, no, for that particular location. And engineers do civil engineers do the design of the water, drainage, electricity layout of a particular site. No, so a lot of people are involved in site planning, as I've shown on the previous slide. No, but we will discuss it further. No, we will discuss what is the effect of site planning to the community. What are the different factors like the history of the site, the culture, the effect of the 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 community to the environment. So those are the principles or the topics that will be discussed on this subject. So site plan consists of locating the different parts of the land, no, that you will develop. You will show the building, you will show the roads, the parking areas, the pedestrian, the natural features or the man-made features like the trees, the landscaping, where the service area will be, the drop-off for the building users, no? So, and the property line, you will also show the orientation, no? showing the northeast southwest symbol on the site and showing the possible contour. No, if you can show it on a site plan. So in the site plan, you can also some of architects create site plan showing the ground floor plan. No? So this in this site planning, in this ground floor plan, you can see the perimeter of the building showing the immediate hardscape or landscaping around the building. So you can see the drop off, the parking areas. So this is very important in presentation or in conceptualizing the flow of traffic, the flow of pedestrian, the location of the landscaping on a particular site, no, or a particular building. So in creating a micro plan of each particular building, you can see and show this um, hardscaping, no, around the building. So this is also a typical floor plan. As you can see on the ground floor, you can see the vertical transport. No, I'm showing you the upper floor of a building, showing you that the relationship of the circulation of pedestrian or the users in relation to the site development plan is very important. No, if you have a site development plan, no, like this one, no, you can see that the vertical transport are located very near the main entry of the building. So there are also vertical transport on the edge of the building. No, so there are adjacent walkways or covered patios or walkways near the vertical transport or the stairs or the elevators. No, on the upper floor, you can also see that the vertical transport are located, no, on the same area, no, and it affects the configuration of the upper floor layout. Okay, so uh, most of the time when I'm planning a building or a structure, I always think of the positioning of the fire exits, the stairs, the elevators, the ramps in relation to the ground floor up to the upper floors. No, so you in creating a plan, no, you need to orient yourself what will be where will be the location of the stairs in relation to the site and how will it affects the overall plan on the upper floors. No, so you always think of the three-dimensional um, figure or the three-dimensional massing of the building during the site development plan. Okay. So this also shows the entrances of the building. This is a different type of building. So this is I think this is a school, no? Um, so you can see that there are elevators and entrances on different areas of this site, no? And it shows that you are providing pedestrian access to those entrances. You are providing vehicular drop-offs to those entrances, no, if you need one. So it's basically the site development plans, no, should address the needs of the building. Okay? So what is site planning? It involves the organization of land use zoning, access, circulation, privacy, security, shelter, land drainage, and other factors. It involves arrangement of compositional elements of landform, planting, water, paving, and buildings. Generally begins by assessing a potential site for development through site analysis. So site plan, I'll go back to this slide. No? So it involves the organization of land use zoning. So in case you have a large area where you will develop, no, you particularly zone activities on the site. No, you segregate activities that are involves a lot of noise, activities that needs quiet areas, activities that needs view, activities that are servicing the whole site. No, so you will be zoning the site according to the zoning, and you will be zoning also the site according to the land use. No, if you are developing a community, which is a bigger community, so you will segregate the commercial area, residential area, the area for industrial. So those are the different zones in a micro site development plan or site planning. In micro also, you will also in micro planning, micro site planning, you will also identify what are the access points of your site. No, where will be the main entrance of the site, where will be the main exit, the egress and ingress of the site. In a macro development like a city or a community, the site planning, you will be identifying the connection of your building to adjacent communities. How will you connect your building to the adjacent communities? No? So those are the access points. No? Another is the circulation. So in site planning, you will also identify the different types of roads that you will be using on your site. No, you can create big roads, small roads, highway, alleys. No, so private roads. So those are the different circulations that you will be using. No, in your site. Another one is, aside from vehicular, you will also consider the pedestrian circulation. What another factor of site planning is privacy. No? You need to identify what are the areas that should be secured, what are the areas that should be private, like residential areas. Those are private areas. Another is security. How will you make sure that the area that you will be developing will be secured from external threats, no? Like threats like flooding, you know. Another one is the shelter, no? That is also one part of the site planning, the buildings. The land drainage, this is the contour of the lot, no? And other factors like views, like other factors like the wind direction. So those are the other factors that being considered in site planning. So it involves arrangement of compositional elements of landform. No? So the site is always composed of landforms. No? There are rocks, there are soils or sands that are involved in site planning. And sometimes there are bodies of water. No? So in this arrangement, you consider how you will be arranging the buildings on a vacant land, considering the available contour that is existent on the site and the natural features of the site, like the waters and the plants that you cannot move. No, and if there are in cases there are natural flows of water like rivers, canals on the site, you must not reroute those rivers and canals, so it will affect the whole site later on. So generally, it begins by assessing a potential site for development through site analysis. No? So in all, before starting a plan, you need to factor in the different natural features of the site and consider all the laws and ordinances before starting the planning. The importance of site planning to architecture as consideration for orientation. No, so these factors also affects the what you call the shape of the building, you know, and it also affects the position of the building, how it will be positioned on the site. The controls appropriate for the plan's shapes dictates the position of rooms, entry and exit. I've said it before, no? Architectural designs of the buildings as a requirement for building permit. So this is also another requirement for building permit, the site development plan or the site plan. No? So you need to address the local laws and ordinances, no, in order to secure a permit, to build a structure, on a particular location. So you need to make sure that you know the setback requirements, the buildable area requirements, the FAR, floor area ratio requirements, the maximum height of a building requirements of a particular site. So those are the factors that you will be considering. So as part of architectural document in securing the building permit, the vicinity map and location plan, it's within 2 kilometer radius for commercial, industrial, institutional complex, and within a half-kilometer radius for residential building or any convenience scale showing landmarks and major thoroughfares for easy references. So in drawing a site development plan or a site plan or a location plan or a vicinity map, you need to make sure that you show in creating a vicinity map for a commercial, industrial, institutional, you will show at least 2 kilometers from your site. If you are doing a residential, you will show at least 5 half kilometer from your site. So that is the requirement of the National Building Code. So you need to take a Google a map, showing at least 2 kilometers from your site if it's an industrial or institutional, and a half kilometer if it's a residential area. So, okay. So parameters in site selection and analysis. Site analysis in many aspects, the most important step in a successful site design process. The purpose of site analysis is to gather data for preliminary planning, evaluate the site for compatibility with the proposed project or use, recognize concerns requiring additional study, form an understanding of the administrative and requirements of the project, such as building permit and approval. So this is the first step in creating a site analysis, site development or site planning, is to create a preliminary site analysis. So gather the data that are available, the title, the contour map, evaluate the site for compatibility with the proposed project or use using you can use the zoning map of the community or the municipality if they will allow you to build a particular building on that site. Recognize concern requiring additional study if there are fault lines, water features, trees, animals on the site that requires additional study. Form of understanding of administrative requirement of the project, such as building permit and approval. So this pertains to the legal processes that you need to get a clearance or a permit to build something on a particular site. Most of the time, you are being asked to secure an environmental compliance certificate in case that you will be building a big building or developing a large area. So those are the different requirements that you need to analyze or to evaluate, before starting the site planning. So this is a what you call this, a graphical presentation of an analysis of a particular site, showing possible development, showing the wind direction, the sun path, showing the possible entrance, future development of the site, the views that are existing views. You can see that the architect or the planner took pictures of adjacent areas of the site, so that he will know the advantages and disadvantage views, advantage and disadvantage views of the site. So in case that you have a good view on one side, you will open up the windows on that side so that you can maximize the view. So those are the different approaches, in creating a preliminary site analysis. Number one is orientation. You need to know where the sun will shine and set, so that you will know the orientation of your building. So parameters of site selection analysis, you need to consider site characterization is a more detailed site investigation that usually undertaken after some degree of preliminary site planning. It generally includes geotechnical analysis of subsurface conditions such as depth of bedrock, depth of groundwater, seasonal high water table, and soil makeup. So these are the different considerations. So your geotechnical analysis, you need to make sure that you know the soil condition, what is the type of soil that the building will be erected on, and what is the possible depth of your foundation for the building to stand. No, this is being done by creating a soil analysis. No, another is to identify if there is a groundwater, no, on the site. No, another one is to know the seasonal high water table, or if there is a flooding, you need to make sure that you know the the water table in case that the flood will occur. No, another one is to know um, the soil makeup. No, what are the different types of soil that uh, beneath your ground. No, what are the different types of soil. No, so these are the different condition, the different factors that you need to understand or to uh, gather, this information, so that you can start with the um, design of the site. No, some factors also is the ground motion study. You need to understand where is the nearest earthquake fault line. No, the vibration of the site, the land, in case there will be earthquake. No, so that is part of the ground motion study. So, or ground motion analysis. No, another one for site planning. Planning designate the uses of land in detail by selecting and analyzing site, forming land use plan, organizing vehicular and pedestrian circulation, designing visual forms and materials and concept, readjusting the existing landform by design grading, providing proper drainage, and developing the construction details necessary to carry out their projects. So this detailed scope of work for site planning or site planners, no, will be discussed on future lectures. No, but I'm just citing this so that you can understand that you will be encountering these topics later on, like how to readjust the existing landform by designing grading. That will be discussed on ground works, so, on the next meeting. Attributes of site planning, we will be discussing the physical attributes, the biological attributes, cultural attributes, and land use suitability. So the physical attributes, so these are the natural site features. The biological is the presence of the characteristic of soil. The cultural attributes is the historical significance of the site, or the culture of the community, the culture of the users. No, that will be part of the site planning. And the land-use suitability. How many percent of the site can be used? How many percent of the site cannot be used? What are the percentage of um, uh, available land area or available water area on the site? So that are the suitability. And how big is the building um, allowed. No, how tall is the municipal allowing how tall the building will be erected. No, in cases that you will be erecting a structure near airports, there are limitations of the height of your building. In cases that you will be building a structure near a landmark or a shrine, no, you are also limited to the height of your building. There are also limitation of the height of the building if you are creating structures on the ridge of Tagaytay. No, there are limitations on the height of the building. You cannot create a higher building more than, I think, more than 4-story or 3-story at the ridge of the Tagaytay area. No? So there are limitations depending on the location. So those are the land use suitability. Okay, so the physical attributes, these are the soil, the topography, the hydrology, geology, and the climate. No? So these are the physical attributes, the soil bearing capacity, stability of the soil, the type of soil, if it's hard, soft, or clay, sand, loam. So the fertility of the soil, if you can plant trees on it, if it's rocky, it's a geological rock formation, you cannot plant trees. No? So these are the physical attributes of the site. No? The topography, the elevation, the slope of the site, hydrology, the drainage, the natural drainage features of the site. Another is the aquifer recharge area, if there are natural water features, no, or if there are underground water availability, water available underground. So these are the aquifer recharge area. If there are trees that can be part of the drainage system. The depth of seasonal water table, the if there are floodings occurring to that site, you need to understand. You need to calculate how you will address the flooding or the water table issues of that site. Another one is the seismic hazards. No, if there are immediate fault lines, if there is a 1 kilometer fault line away from the site, the depth of bedrock and the wind. No, that's another type of climate factors. No, if there are heavy winds affecting that site, you need to address it by creating the shape of your building to address the wind direction, or the putting some trees, no, or blending with the flow of the air, no. And the solar access, that's another one. If you want to put solar panels, or you want to prevent the sun rays entering your building, that will be part of the consideration of site planning. The biological attributes is the vegetation or the plant communities, the specimens, no, the exotic invasive species, if there are what you call exotic plants that are on site, or trees that cannot be cut off, no, and if there are endangered wildlife, no, or species in the habitat, like birds, or sometimes deers, or animals that are on the site, you need to address these biological attributes. The cultural attributes, this is the land use, the prior land use, no, what was it before, no. So if it's sometimes you are encountering areas that are vacant, but after some evaluation or research, you will find out that there were previous buildings or previous uses of that area. So this, you need to make sure that you are uh, researching the prior land use, no, before starting to construct anything, no. Land use or adjoining properties, no, what are the properties that are near or adjoining your lot, no. In terms of legalities, who owns that lot, no, if you have the title or you don't have a title of the lot. Another was this, the land use regulation, what are the regulation that is affecting your lot, easement and deed restriction. In terms of utilities, the availability of water line, electrical line, and sewer line. No? So you need to, in preliminary site analysis, and we usually seek where the electrical, water, and sewer lines are. Another is the traffic volume or circulation. No? So what will be is it near a heavy traffic area, or are there available low road networks connecting to your site? So those are the circulation problems or circulation consideration. Another is the archaeological sites, no? If there are, if your site is previously archaeological sites, for sensory cultural attributes, we will consider the noise, visual quality, and odors. Environmental and quality of life, no? Site planning is the organization of external physical environment to accommodate human behavior. It deals with qualities and locations of structures, land, activities, and living things. It creates a pattern of those elements in space and time, which will be subject to continuous future management and change. No? So you need to make sure that you are addressing the spirit of place, the character of the place, the nature of the project, and the behavioral studies. So these are the environments and quality of life consideration in creating a site plan. So we have 4 basic models of site planning based on history. We have the fixing the space, the defined enclosure, the sense of form or sense of order, and the actual form. So these are the different basic models of site planning in history. No? The fixing the space, no, the image and the form of the object of the building are capable of fixing a space, no. So it is the object or the building will be the focal point, no, or the focal point or the focal center, the center of your site planning, no, or your site plan, no. So you are creating something based on that building or that object or that monument or that structure or that natural features of the site, no. So that is what you call fixing the space, no. So if sometimes there is a what you call a natural feature of the site, so that will be your focal point in cases that you will be building something like a church, no. So the church will be the one that you will be considering, the major consideration in planning the whole structure. That will be your focal point. So that is what you call fixing the space, no. The image and form of the object building are capable of fixing the whole place, no. So it is the main objective, no. It will dictate the flow of traffic, no, of the whole site, no. That is fixing the space or fixing the space model based on history. Another one is the defined enclosure, a collection of independent structure which, although unattached, created a coherent image of a place, no. Although this is also one of the planning models that can be seen in history, that they are enclosing an area, no, and creating structures to enclose a space, no. That is what you call the defined enclosure. In this case, you can see that there are buildings created around this open area. This is what you call a defined enclosure. This is the Acropolis in plan in 530 to 450 BC. Okay. Another is the sense of order. No? The form of the building can be such that the place may be fixed by enclosure of a facade. No? So this is what you call the agora of the Corinth. No? This is also what the sense of order is also what is the type of site planning that was used in the Intramuros area. It's called the sense of order site planning. This is one of type of site planning where there are fixed buildings that enclose an area on the middle. No? So this is the sense of order site planning. Another one is the actual form. No? Although the kinetic implication of the word path are somewhat contradictory, paths are nonetheless capable of forming a coherent, meaningful images. No? So this is what you call an actual form. You create a actual orientation to a specific area, a symmetrical actual site planning. So this is also common in other site planning of universities. No, one example is the University of the Philippines, where there is an actual plan orienting everything on the main mirroring the images of buildings on the left side, on the other side, and the other side of the actual of the whole campus. So this is an actual form of site planning based on history. So the traditional step of site planning process, we have the programming and the feasibility, site analysis, then we have the design, conceptual design, schematic, preliminary site layout, preliminary site plan and design, final site plan, and then the construction. So this is the typical site planning process. We will discuss this on further on the future lectures. No? So another one for site planning is the site, what you call the site feasibility, programming and feasibility. So the parameters to be considered in programming and feasibility is the user's needs, no? And what is your project client, the resources available like money, financial, material resources, the land as one of the resources, the plan, no? What is the available plan that you will use, and the location, no? So these are part of the programming and the feasibility. I think we will be discussing a feasibility study in the near lectures. No? So another is the user requirements. No? So these are the user requirements in to give you an overview, the vital supports, the sense of place, the good environment, the access, different types of users and models, the controls, and others. No? The site selection consideration, what are the legal aspect, the values, the land use, location accessibility, site configuration, the physical characteristics, utilities, and public service. So these are part of the site selection consideration. The other part is the legal aspects. No, we have the title, which is the issues of property ownership, the title. The surveys, easement and covenants, the contract and conditions. So these are the legal aspects of the site planning. So you need to make sure that they own the property, or they have the rights to build something on the property. You gather the survey, create easements and covenants, no? And you need to make sure that the contracts and the conditions are properly laid upon. So the values is the land property value, no? So you need to make sure that you are considering the value of the lot. No, if you have a lot that is very expensive, you don't waste land. No, you need to maximize the use of the land. No? So the land use, another one is historical land use, current land use, and surrounding conflict. Okay, so this is another one, like location accessibility. So where the site is and how it's accessible, modes of transportation going and from the site, site configuration, regular and irregular lots, corner lots. So this is the site configuration, the physical characteristics, the terrain of the site, the climate, geology, soil, hydrology, vegetation, and some wildlife. So these are all part of the feasibility study. No? If you're creating a feasibility study, these are all the part of the component of the feasibility study. Another is the location of the utilities, the water, sewage, electricity, communication system, emergency system. So these are part of the feasibility study. So what I have shown to you is an outline of a feasibility study. We will discuss this on a separate topic. I'm just showing you the outline, but we will discuss this feasibility study on a separate module. But as you can see, these are all enumerated. No? This will be your guide in creating a feasibility or a study of the site. No? So what are the site features? No? In the site features, you can see the ecology of the site, no? the type of the soil, the landscaping, the utilities that are available around the site, no? The landform, the human and vehicular travel around the site. This is also part of the site features that you will consider. The climate, what is the climate on the area or on the community or on the region? What are the noises or the air noise that will affect your site, and the adjoining structure. If there are adjoining structures that are tall or small or vacant areas, you need to take down those of that adjoining structure. So there are regulations that are specifically affecting the site planning. We have the area specific regulation, the subdivision regulation, city and municipal regulation, the provincial regional regulation. In terms of a national code, we have the medium-term development plan or the national land use building plan or the building codes. In terms of sector-specific special area, we have the CARP, NEPA, Clean Air Act, or the LLDA, Laguna Lake Development Authority Act, or the different local or sector-specific regulations. So techniques for analysis, we have the direct observation. So you can take down notes or directly gather notes. No, we have also the indirect observation. You can research on the past data available, like the past records, the archives. Another one is the precedence, no, or previous experience that you have encountered in building such particular site development plan or site planning. Another one is the current events information. What is the available news, no, on specific development on that area? So one example is the building of the new airport in Bulacan. So if you are planning to acquire land, no, very near the airport, that will be part of your current event information, that you will be looking forward that there will be an airport that will be built on that area. So you will be developing a hotel or a commercial center or a housing or some kind of development very near that area, no, very near that airport, but not a school, because an airport creates noise. So a school is not very feasible very near the airport. No? So those are the factors that you are considering based on the current events or the information. So another one are traces of destroyed curbs, floodwater lines. So if you are trying to build something on an area near the flooding area like Marikina, if you are trying to build something in Marikina, you need to make sure that you know the area of floodwater lines, no, and how you will address those events that will occur later on. So another technique in analysis is the formal study, no, studying what is what you have learned in the universities or in schools. So regarding how to create a site plan. Another one technique is the behavioral setting or movement system. No? So these are analyzing the behavioral patterns of the community, how it evolves, so how the community grew. No? So those are the different, how can a community grow, how can a similar community that you are building evolve later on. Another is the direct communication, no? Interviews with locals or interviews with planners or interviews with architects. No? Another technique of analysis is the images available. No? So if there are pictures, present and past pictures, so you need to gather those pictures. And preferences like choices and memories. No? So this is the site planning model. So we will be discussing this on later on slides or later on modules. No? So in site planning, as another form of problem solving and critical thinking, we have what you call the research, analysis, and synthesis. Makes a major contribution to the formation of design decision process. No? So this table, I will be discussing this table on future lectures, no? But you can see that we have the objectives, no? And there are program analysis, site analysis, then we have come up to synthesis or site potential, then we will come up with the schematic, then evaluation, criteria, selected plan development. So we will be discussing this process later on next modules, okay? So